Hey guys, and welcome to episode 152 of the Upper LA podcast. My name is Scott Ellis. I'm joined here by Tim McGavick.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
Glad you can make it. Also joining us is Tyler Switulski.
Welcome back.
I'm always here.
Which one of us wasn't here last week? Oh, welcome back.
You're never here.
Yeah, but I'm here this time.
That's odd.
Right.
And Adam.
And also joining us is Adam Franey.
Hi.
Glad you can
Welcome
make
back.
it.
Thanks.
Let's run down some of the topics we're going to discuss on this week's episode. As usual, we're going to talk about our last scenes, last movie we watched this week. As well as this week, we're doing a little bit of a special. Instead of talking about news, actually this month, I guess we could say. We're not going to be talking about news. We're going to be talking about a little film we watched at the Cinesphere in Toronto, North America's first IMAX theater.
Still remains to this day Ontario's largest IMAX theater.
Yes. We saw a special presentation of 2001: A Space Odyssey, directed by Stanley Kubrick. So we're going to be discussing that a bit later. As well as if you do like this video, leave a like on it. Leave a comment below in the comment section if you want to join our discussions. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. With that out of the way, Tim, what did you watch this week?
Watched a little rom-com.
Oh.
It's currently sweeping the nation.
Oh.
Really?
One Crazy Rich Asians.
Ooh,
2018
really?
film, yes.
Oh.
You saw that.
I did. Written by Peter
I didn't know you saw
Chiarelli
Jackson.
and Adele Lim. Based on the book by Kevin Kwan and directed by John M. Chu, who has a very odd filmography. G.I. Joe Retaliation. And then some other really terrible stuff. Step Up to the Streets.
Oh.
What's that?
A whole bunch of
Step
just
Up.
very
It's
odd.
in the Step
odd
Up.
music.
More like
This movie's
Step
doing
Down.
really great at the box office.
It's killing it at the box
Step
office, which is
Down.
awesome.
2 weeks straight.
Starring Constance Wu from Fresh Off the Boat.
Constance
That's racist, Tim. You can't say that.
It's the name of her TV show.
Oh, okay.
Henry Golding, who I've not seen before. I thought I had, though. He looked very familiar. And
Any
like
relation
acted
to
very
Ellie?
familiarly. Right?
Any relation to Ellie?
No. Oh. Nice. Gemma Chan.
You're
Aquafina.
I'm
Is
sorry.
this
Oh, from Ocean's 8.
From Ocean's 8.
The water?
Yes, the bottled water. Aquafina.
They had a huge brand advertising.
And Michelle Yao, who you guys have all probably seen at one point.
Yao!
She's in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's in Sunshine. She plays Corzan. She's awesome. She's like an older lady, so I think she's in like her 60s, 70s. Maybe. She's in Sunshine.
Amazing.
So Rachel and her boyfriend Nick travel to Singapore for Nick's best friend's wedding. Upon arriving, Rachel quickly learns that Nick is actually the heir of a massive family fortune, and she must overcome his family's strong-willed mother.
Ooh. Never
So
an easy hurdle.
essentially, they want Nick to move back. He's been living in New York, keeping it low-key. Didn't really tell Rachel that he has like a massive family fortune that goes back to like generations. So he shows up, massive house, huge parties going on, just booze and
good
women
life.
and airplanes going, and his best friend's bachelor party's on like a gigantic like ship out in the middle of the ocean, so they can do whatever they want.
It's a yacht.
No, like a container ship.
Oh.
With like just a massive dance thing in the middle. So just like a bunch of like parties going on in this movie. First half drags, I will say. Pretty dull, pretty
How
typical.
long is this movie?
It's 2 hours. They could have cut a little bit out of it. Actually, first I should mention, first all Asian casts for a major studio since like
in
1993. Yeah, in Hollywood, like first actual like Hollywood.
Where is
in
1993?
the Joy Luck Club. If you've heard of it.
Never heard of
I
that.
don't know what that
Anyways,
is.
yeah, this is like full Asian cast, which is great.
Cool.
Performances, I will say, are great from everyone. Constance Wu is fantastic as Rachel. Michelle Yao is great. Henry Golding, who plays the boyfriend, very charming, very likable dude. Aquafina is hilarious. She plays like the...
I love how you look to me automatically
assumed
when
you're a
you
big
talk
Aquafina.
about Aquafina.
I just assume you're a fan of her.
I've seen her in one film.
She's like very quirky,
I'm in.
but
like
she
Greg
fits.
Apparently she steals scenes, from what I've heard.
Yeah?
Yes, she's like a very quirky friend of Rachel's that lives in Singapore. Besides that,
But after the first hour, or what?
oh yeah, after first hour, it gets a little bit interesting. This movie thrives with like the relationship between Rachel and the mother. They're at odds over Nick, and it's very, very good.
It's not fun.
Michelle Yao kills it.
Really?
She's so intimidating. I'm like, holy shit, this is my mother-in-law. Be shooting bricks. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like
so
Jane
just
Fonda and Monster-in-Law. Have you seen that one?
No,
Mm.
I don't watch rom-coms.
Okay.
2 least favorite genres mashed together.
Collided.
Roms and coms.
Ah,
I
so
love
just
that.
just overall the movie's okay. I thought it ended very, very strong. There's a very great like mahjong moments that happens.
What's that?
Do you know
a
the
game.
game?
It's a
It's
game.
like a
Mahjong
you play with, like those tiles.
Tiles.
So it's a very great sequence involving mahjong and like a
It's like
game of
dominoes.
wills between the mother and Rachel.
Does it set up the sequel? Because
No,
they're
it's
doing a
not set up
sequel.
to be a sequel. It's based off a trilogy of books. So there would be a sequel.
Ah.
It kind of sets up some plot points that would carry on into this. I've looked up to see what the sequel would be about because I'm like, I don't know what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's solid movie. I quite like it.
Yeah?
I'm glad it's doing well. It's a
Really?
above average rom com.
Making a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's killing the box
Right?
office. Yeah.
Would you recommend as a date night flick?
Perfect date movie. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't have gone out and seen it myself. But there's some funny moments.
Yeah, I'm never seeing it.
Got a little teary eyed.
Forever
A
alone.
couple times I will say towards the end there.
Teary eyed.
Oof.
A little
There's
mist. A little mist in the air.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
There's some stuff that goes down. Like.
Really?
Interesting.
Maybe I'll let my girlfriend make me watch it.
I'm gonna hit it with a 3. Just
Okay.
pacing is a little bit slow.
Okay.
And then just very like generic rom-com like formula.
Okay.
But the tension between the mother and Rachel is fantastic.
So there is
Really
some
good.
good to be had.
Well, there is.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of having more, big budget films with more like minorities that you don't really see.
Yeah.
Like,
I got
Why
exposed
not?
to
I
like
don't
so many
understand.
new
Like, why
actors
not?
that like I've never seen before. I'm like, these people are all great.
Mm.
Yeah,
why not?
beautiful.
Well, Ty, what do you got for us this week?
Well, do I have a last scene for you guys? I love how you all just automatically.
That's a question.
I just
Yes,
looked
yes,
at the
yes.
camera and all of you just immediately just shook your heads and put your heads down. I do have a last scene. If we are doing the last scene movie that we saw, is that what
Adam, what do you got this week for us?
Yeah, I'll just prepare
What was
mine.
the last movie you watched?
I saw that still.
guys? I have
You
a
son of
last
a bitch.
scene.
No, you don't.
Ty, don't come back.
Pipe down over
Treat it
there,
like
okay?
the rest of the weeks and just don't show up.
I'm just gonna sit in the corner and vape.
Yeah, just vape nation. A prestigious Stockholm museum's chief art curator finds himself in times of both professional and personal crisis as he attempts to set up a controversial new exhibit.
Interesting.
No, I thought it
Not
was-
the circle, am I right?
That's right. The square.
I've not seen this.
No?
Sean
Shit.
saw this.
I saw it.
I knew you saw it, but I thought you saw it. No? Damn
No,
you.
yeah.
Directed by Ruben Östlund. Östlund?
Directed by Ruben. We always say it with a
Ostland.
question.
Östlund.
Ostland.
Nominated for 1 Oscar. Best Foreign Film. Did not win.
Thought it would win.
Devastating. Starring Clace Bang, Elizabeth Moss, Dominic West,
I do like Dominic West.
Terry Notary. And
Terry notes.
let's just start with Terry. Stole the movie.
Mm.
This is one single sequence, basically.
One of the craziest scenes I've ever seen in a movie, dare I say.
Yeah.
Him going full. If you don't know, he works on the Apes movies with Andy Serkis.
Ah, okay.
He is like a professional ape mocap actor. So he
Shit.
has this scene in the movie where, I guess, is it like an art installation that he's doing?
It's a piece
What's it
of
called?
art. let's say.
Right. So everybody is at dinner, and a guy like takes the microphone, and he's basically like, welcome to the jungle. Don't make any sudden movements, or the beast might like catch you. Blah, blah. He's like prepping them. Terry Notary comes in, full Planet of the Apes teeth, like the crutches that they walk on,
Yeah.
and just goes full ape shit for like
20 minutes? I don't know.
it felt like forever.
Felt
I don't
like-
know how long, but
It was probably 15 minutes, but it felt like an hour.
So
mind blowing. And it was so like meta and immersive because you're watching him do this, so you're uncomfortable. The audience in the scene is uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? And like to a degree, I'm sure they prepped the extras and everything. Like, yeah, this is what he's gonna do. Maybe they did,
but they didn't like actually give them the full rundown of what the heck happened.
Like, there's no way to fake the look on their faces because he's just.
He like assaults people.
Yeah,
like
he's just like crawling around and like, just like
right in people's face, and they're like, they don't know how to react. They're like,
does a full leap from the floor on top of a table, like just lands on the table and he's just like moving shit off, like swiping shit off the table,
smashing glasses and stuff,
like sniffing food. He gets pretty handsy with one girl. That's where the scene ends, but It blew my mind, I will say. Like, it's worth the price of admission. I would say see this movie for that scene.
For me, I watched it in theaters, and it was
an audience of cringe.
I cannot even imagine.
Because it was like, the audience in the movie was
Mimicking
extremely
the
cringe.
theater?
Is it one?
But also in my theater,
Right.
there was a bunch of people there, and I could feel their cringe,
tension?
the secondhand cringe, the tension from the audience.
Shout out to Phil.
And then I'm like,
borrowed it from.
in the theater and at the same time, and it was just...
It's like making my skin
It was
crawl.
fucked.
Is it one take? It feels like this would be a one take.
It wasn't
moment.
one take.
No, okay.
But,
Oh yeah.
It was one long
It's just-
sequence.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been. It was It was like had to be like 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, just of him. Like this director also did Force Majeure. He like gets off on these extremely awkward, cringe scenarios, and just he'll let the scene breathe and just make you feel like get me out of here. Like, oh my god, this is so cringe.
There's a lot more in this movie.
Yeah, so if you like cringe comedy like that, like purposefully, cringe inducing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it a lot, needless to say. I liked Force Majeure a lot. I think I like The Square a little bit more. It was visually really nice to look at. Only half subtitled.
Oh,
So,
that's a selling feature.
only half a book.
Okay, I can read
You
half
speak
a book.
English at some
It's like a
points.
picture book.
I can read a picture book.
Yeah, it's like you turn the page and what sound does the cow make? You
Few
get
coloring
some
sequences,
voice,
maybe?
right? Yeah. Oh, it's an art film, so there's color.
There's color.
It was a good, I thought, satire on some of the absurdity of the art world, obviously, with this thing.
Yeah.
And just really one of the exhibits that the lead character has is
The video? The
No.
kid?
no,
Oh
that's
my
one of the most cringe. That's the most insane thing of all time.
I fucking lost it.
I don't know. Is that
That's
spoiler? Do you talk about that?
Maybe, yeah.
There's a
It's so
video
funny.
that he does that goes
A
viral.
video campaign, like an ad.
Yeah, he's got these two marketing guys that he keeps going to throughout the movie. They're like, we need to go viral. Like, fuck art. We need just something crazy that'll
hits.
go. We need hits. So they launch something without his blessing that goes viral. That is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. But no, I was just gonna say one of the things that I thought was hilarious was he's got one exhibit where it's just mounds of dirt, like pebbles and dirt.
I know what you're gonna say.
12 of them. And then overnight, one night, the guy cleaning on the
Zamboni.
Zamboni sucks one up. So there's just this gut-busting scene where
Oh shit!
they have to call him, and they're like, one of the piles of dirt is uneven. He's like, what? What do you mean it's uneven? Like, yeah, the cleaning guy accidentally swept up one of the dirt piles. And
It's absurd. It's hilarious. Though.
What do you want us to do? Do you want us to sweep up all the other ones so it's even? He's like, no! It's hilarious.
Oh shit!
I know, Tim, it's no secret you're not a fan of the comedies, but I say this one much more than just a comedy.
I'm in.
It brings,
I don't like straight comedies.
right,
no, we know.
but it's it's interesting because it's making fun of the art world while being an art film, right? It's this artsy indie film, it's beautifully shot. It's good performances and everything. There's even sort of a darkness toward the end, right?
It was what was it? He lost his wallet or something? Had his wallet stolen? And
Yeah.
It was the little kid.
Oh my god.
The stairwell.
There's a kid
sequence.
who's hilarious in it also. A 12-year-old kid who just acts like he's 40. Anytime you have a kid who acts 40 like yourself.
I can relate.
Yeah. I lose it. But yeah, Yeah, it's definitely. It's got some weird, unique stuff in there too. It wasn't like 100% hit for me. Like there is some.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. There's stuff that like I didn't fully understand, and I was like, "What? What does that mean?"
I have a question.
Yes.
On a scale from Money Monster to The Wire, how good and or bad is Dominic West?
He's good. He's
Oh
fine.
my God,
he's
he's
good. Very
so
fine.
There's a sequence with Dominic West where he's doing a fucking press conference, and they're like, want to take questions from the audience or something, and there's someone with, is it Tourette's, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard about this.
That just yells.
I've heard about the sequence.
It's just like nonstop cringe.
It's the most cringe-inducing like sequence. There's a lot of it.
Dominic West trying to like talk through a speech about art while someone's just screaming obscenities at him, like due to their Tourette's. Yeah.
What would you rate it though? Because we're going on a tangent here.
I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Pretty
Solid
solid.
4 out of
Be
5.
borrowing this from Phil.
Yes, you should.
It made
Very
my
good.
top 10 last year.
I
It was like
remember.
number 8, I think, for me.
It
Something
might
like that.
be honorable mention if I go back, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna jump in with my last scene. I watched a little flick
Oh.
called A Prayer Before
Oh,
Dawn.
I see you stopped writing the title down, so I
I
can't
stopped,
read it.
yeah, because you're a little scumbag. A true story of an English boxer incarcerated in one of Thailand's most notorious prisons as he fights in Muay Thai tournaments to earn his freedom.
What the fuck? A24.
Yes.
I wanted to see
So this is like Death Race.
No.
Win to get your freedom.
Is this out this year? Is this new this year?
August.
Yes. I think it premiered last year at some festivals, but it's come out this year. This movie is from A24, but not initially, I don't think. I think they took on the North American distribution of it.
Oh.
But, I mean, A24, like, they like their authenticity. I will say this movie feels extremely authentic, but directed by Jean-Stéphane Sauveur, starring Joe Cole, who's been in a couple things like Peaky Blinders and Green Room, I wrote down there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's extremely gritty, realistic.
Who was he in Green Room?
The MMA kid who like puts a guy in the armbar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I liked him.
Yeah, he
He
was
was my
good.
favorite guy
Yeah.
in that movie.
Pretty cool.
Rip.
He gave a pretty committed performance, I'd say, as this incarcerated person. I will say it's pretty surface level, this movie. Like, there's not a lot of deep delving into the characters. Like, within the first 5 minutes, he's in prison already. So you don't really get much backstory. But it does feel extremely realistic. Like, it just felt like he went to prison and they just filmed it. Like, literally, because
That is what they did, right?
kind of, they shot at the prison, so they used like a bunch of ex-convicts as like the extras and stuff. They didn't necessarily
Terrifying.
use the actual prisoners at the time, like
They
incarcerated.
No one would've.
But I mean, it looks extremely authentic because there'll be all these sequences of like this isn't like a North American prison. Like they sleep in like a big room together, not like in individual cells where you get like a bed. So all the dudes are just like sardines, like sleeping like on each other basically, like in this giant room of just people. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, like everyone is just completely covered in tats, like face tats, and like those are the characters in the movie, and you're just like, oh my god, like they literally look like actual convicts, and they are like ex-cons basically.
That's pretty cool.
There's only a couple people that are like actually actors, I would say initially. There's one guy who was in Only God Forgives, the main like police guy, bad guy, I guess. He played like an officer, like prison guard basically. And then there was also someone else which I forget. Oh, he was in like that kickboxing movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme in like the 80s. Anyways, most of it, yeah, Bloodsport. Most of them haven't done anything, but yeah, the fight sequences were great. I'll just say it's just extremely realistic take. It's a little bit long. It's like 2 hours. Like it doesn't have to be 2 hours. Like it could be like an hour and a half.
Like a 90-minute film.
Yeah, especially
90.
considering they don't
Love a tight 90.
they don't delve very deep into the characters. Like I wish we just learned more about this guy because it's like a true story, and the guy that it was based on actually had like a cameo
I love that.
as his dad, as the character's dad.
Oh shit!
Which was pretty interesting. I always find it. I always like, not always done successfully, but the like epilogue thing where they like have like these cards explaining what happened after and like explaining how it's true or whatever, and they show the actual guy as well, and it's just like, damn.
I kind of like when they do that and it shows like what happens like after the story kind of thing, not just explaining like the moment, but like explaining after the moment, like everything that happens.
What happened
after the film.
I thought it was pretty effective in this movie. It was like a pretty quick thing. It wasn't like long or anything, but I thought that was done well. But yeah, I would say for sure it's something to see, especially just for Joe Cole's like performance. He just went hard, and there's your typical sequences, with like prison rapes, people getting stabbed, and the requisite prison sequences that we've all seen.
The good stuff.
Yeah, but it's an interesting take on it because it's like this Muay Thai boxing angle, right? Where these guys can like, basically, if you win this championship, you could potentially get pardoned or whatever. Interesting.
So if you're the most violent, they'll let you back onto the streets.
Smart.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how exactly that works.
Fight your way out.
I will say
it's like Death Race. That's what I said.
It's authentic, but at the same time, I would have liked more subtitles. Like, it's one of those movies where they don't have a lot of subtitles, so there's a lot of speaking in Thai.
I know you don't get that,
but it's supposed to be. I can see that it's supposed to be immersive. Like, you're supposed to be going through what he's going through, where you don't understand what they're saying. Yeah. But at the same time,
you kind of want to know what they're saying.
I'd like a little bit. I'd like to know a little bit more of what's going on.
A little bit of context.
Yeah. So it's sort of it's a tough juggling act. I'll say.
It's a double-edged sword, a little bit.
Yeah, to try and balance that. Okay, what's going on? Not that I couldn't understand what was going on. It's pretty basic, but there could be more going on if they had, if he was actually talking to people instead of just kind of being silent and just fighting and stuff like that. So, definitely worth seeing, though, I'll say, just for, like I said, the sheer authenticity of it, and Joe Cole's performance was great. But yeah, I'll probably give it a heavy 3. Solid. Decent. Could be better, though.
Of course.
Let's jump into our discussion, let's say. Our review. We've never really done a really old film as a review.
Except the oldest.
We've done individually.
It was never released. Oh, that's right. We never released Seven
Lost, never released.
Individually, we've done old films. But this week, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, starring Keir Dullea, Gary Lockwood, and William Sylvester, who I don't know anything else they've done.
I feel like I saw those guys, and I immediately think I know them from something.
Like, somewhat familiar.
Yeah. Bowman looks very familiar. Keir Dullea.
I don't necessarily know if we need to do a synopsis of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I have one written out.
Do it. Synopsis.
Hit us with the synopsis, will ya?
No easy time.
Guided by a black monolith discovered on the moon, Discovery 1, a spaceship manned by 5 astronauts and controlled by HAL 9000, make their way towards Jupiter on an unknown mission.
Interesting. Now, a little preface for the screening that we saw. Tim was not there.
Classic.
The screening that 3 of us saw.
I just missed things.
Was a restoration done by Christopher Nolan. And I would say restoration, but it's more like a...
conversion?
How can I say it? Because essentially the idea was to restore it back to the way it was originally seen back in 1968, I believe. So as you guys might have noticed during the film, there's still some little flecks, and the picture wasn't 4K or whatever you want to say, but the whole idea that Christopher Nolan had was to restore it to what it was like, what it would have been like to watch it in 1968, but also be in IMAX. So we saw this on this giant, biggest screen in, is it North America or just Canada?
No, it's North America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, but interestingly enough, like to see it in that version, like you get like a what's it called? Halfway through intermission.
Yeah.
You don't see that too often. I guess what Hateful Eight did it? Did Hateful Eight do it?
Select screenings.
Select screenings.
The 70mm ones did it.
Crazy, right? But yeah, so Christopher Nolan oversaw this, Which I thought was pretty interesting.
I half expected him to be there.
I wish.
Like to do something like this. Like I half expected him to show up.
That would have been sick.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing. I would have cried.
But fairly packed theater. Not fully sold out, but
Pretty full.
a lot of people. I didn't
Yeah.
expect that many
Yeah.
people. I don't know why. I just
Beloved movie.
it is.
You got a lot of characters that showed up.
A lot of like parents with their kids.
Yeah.
Odd.
Passing it on, I guess. Pretty.
And you got the
horrifying.
teenage stoners. There's quite
Well,
a few of those.
With the hipsters.
In talking about 2001, Ty, I want to go to you because the three of us
Had seen it before.
has seen it
Yeah.
before. Now, Ty, I know you were going to use it as your last scene. And
Technically, we saw it at 10:15 last night.
so, as
so-
someone who has never seen it, what do you think of 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I'll start by saying this.
This should be good.
I've never seen so little happen in such a long period of time.
Searing.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting take.
Because
No, I've never heard that.
From the
said.
dawn of man to 2001,
Yeah.
nothing happened.
it's, well, I'm sure there was a lot that happened, but in the film that I saw, it was not, there was no, I'll say,
That's the big take.
that was the big take. There was
hot
not
take.
a lot happening. It was a very confusing movie to watch.
Oh, really?
There were a lot of moments that had me thinking, "What the fuck is this?" But it was definitely entertaining. I'll say on a production level, on a technical side, probably
Give it to me.
one of the best, if not the best, film I've ever seen.
Fuck yes.
Because for them to do all of this, like they were, like you guys told me, there was like minimal green screen used in this, right?
1968, so it's none.
So
One would
So
say
none.
there's no green screen used in
Not
this.
necessarily true. I guess
Yeah.
they used blue screens.
yeah,
back then.
okay, I'm sorry. So there was minimal blue screen,
But
used
no
in this.
computer generated imagery,
No.
if that's what we're getting.
That's what I'm
All
getting.
like
It's all
painted
practical.
backdrops,
Yeah.
miniatures,
Matte paintings and miniatures.
camera tricks, like the rotating
There
while
were,
he's jogging.
that was one of the moments.
Or when they walk up like that thing. and
When that
like,
lady walked up
roll
that
up.
thing and fucking walked
Grip shoes.
upside down and freaking into, and I realized what
Yes.
their hats were. They were like weighted hats, I'm assuming, something like that. They were giant, massive hats.
No,
I'm
they were
assuming-
in space.
Oh, they were just space
Grip
hats.
shoes.
Grip shoes.
That was
I
one
saw.
year before they went to the moon. But yeah, they went to space.
Gotcha. So she's just walking around this circle, and she just walks upside down, much like a hamster wheel. If the hamster wheel was locked,
Yeah.
and it just kind of just goes up, walks upside down, and then through a second door, which I don't really understand the logic behind that, because why would that room have been upside down? I don't get it.
But here's the funny thing is, you know, if you ever seen like footage of the International Space Station or anything,
Yeah.
what it's actually like to be in zero gravity,
Yeah.
You would never do that.
That would
You
never
would just
happen.
fly, like there's no up or
Float
down,
straight
like
through.
you would just fly to it
Yeah.
and walk into the door. But it's just so funny their Stanley Kubrick's conception of, you know, weightlessness and stuff, because it never really been experienced.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had got the little sticky shoes, and she's like slowly walking down to like grab the pen floating out of the
And
air.
like as she was like walking, you saw her like kind of like trying to
Get her balance.
somehow keep balance in a weightless environment.
But really,
So-
she just pushed herself and just float.
Yeah. But it was
Funny,
interesting. Very cool. Like, you know, like moments where like, you know, the guy's sitting with his tray, and then the tray would just start floating. It was like, oh shit, here's my tray. Like just moments like that were very cool.
Even the pen trick, the floating pen.
Yeah, the floating
I
pen
thought that was done really well.
It was like
I
how
don't know.
I don't know how that was done, because like she went. Well, I don't. What, Scott, why would you ruin the magic? Why would you fucking ruin the magic?
You asked.
You
asked.
No,
You
I made
said
a statement. I said I don't know how it was done. I did not ask how it was
Sorry,
done.
Miranda.
You're just ruining
You have to,
everything
like,
for me.
Remind yourself while it's on every 5 minutes. This was made 50 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's one of the
Right?
And honestly, the apes to me were one of the most impressive things that was
Really?
done. Like there was like at the beginning, I was like, okay, like maybe they actually got some apes. I don't know. They were at the very beginning because it was
I
so
think
well
Terry,
done.
Terry Notary played.
he consulted for
Well, here's
this.
the thing. This was not up for best costume design or something.
Excuse the fuck me.
It won Best Visual Effects.
It was excluded
That
from
count?
best makeup or something, I think, for the gorillas because people thought they were real monkeys.
See, okay, see that makes sense because like I know like after like the first 30 seconds I realized they weren't, but like I'm being generous, maybe first minute, I realized that they weren't. And then, like, you know, they started doing things
the first time I saw it, I wasn't, like, instantly, like...
when they opened their mouths, like,
Yeah.
it looked like...
It looked decent.
the inside of an ape's mouth. Like, it was very well done.
Yeah,
That's what threw me off. But, like, after that, you obviously tell, like, you know, like, as they start doing certain things, it was like, okay, this is obviously a...
The way they're jumping around, you're like, okay, there's
Yeah.
human legs.
Yeah, like, I saw the hands, I'm like, oh, okay, yes, that's... but yeah, very, very well done. Yeah, so on a technical side, gorgeous. One of the best I've ever seen.
Just to touch on the special effects.
Yeah.
Just the spaceships.
Yeah.
Like the miniatures.
Fuck.
Sure, there's some sequences where, like, the parallax of how the camera's moving and the ship's moving, you're like, okay, it's an image.
Yeah.
But the sequence when you see the space station, the rotating space station,
Yeah.
and you can see the shadows moving on it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh fuck, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And there's a sequence where the ship's going to dock, and it's
so
like
it-
spinning at the same
It,
time.
like, synchronizes its motion with the
Yeah.
docking
Yeah.
bay.
I was just like,
Incredible. And that song, did we ever find out?
See why no one loves it?
Was that? I'll ask you because these guys gave me different answers. That song, was that an original song they used? Like, dun, dun,
No, I think
dun,
that was
dun.
before this movie.
You sure?
I think.
Okay, we'll have to look that up
pretty
and
sure
get back to you.
yeah.
But yeah, that was like, it's kind of cool to see that song how it was originally used. Like, I'm assuming this is what the song, like this movie that made
It's
this
been
song.
parodied.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool to see that song used in like its original context.
Well, just that first opening sequence is just iconic.
Yeah,
With the planets lining up and everything. It's
Yeah.
just like super iconic, and obviously the ending.
and there was one shot in particular that I looked at Franny and I was like, amazing shot. Like, they're walking down this hill or like this like stair ramp, and like they're looking at like the monolith is there, and they're walking down, and like it looks like it was from one of the guys' like chest cameras, like body cameras, and like you can see like there's like two guys in front of them. Like they're like taking up like a third of the
shot,
screen
right?
each, and you can see like the monolith and they're going down. Like, that was incredible. Like I can't think of a movie that had used that early on that well. Like, it was, to me, that was just perfectly used. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I loved that. The colors.
Good.
Oh,
Classic 60s colors.
yeah. The
Very
end.
vibrant.
Those colors
Oh, there's
Like,
That
that would've-
Technicolor.
Blown my mind in
sequence.
Cinesphere would be seeing like
almost killed me with
the
how much color
wormhole
there
thing.
was.
It was
Yeah.
fun. It blew my mind.
A little long, in my opinion,
It's a
but it
long
was
sequence.
it was a very long sequence. And I was like, "Fuck, I go to the bathroom. It's been like 2.5 hours."
Those stoners you mentioned
Lost
spent 2
their
hours
fucking
just to see that
minds.
sequence. Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Like, one guy dropped E while we were there, and I just watched him lose his fucking mind. Yeah, it was just incredible. But yeah, story wise, did not love it. Did not love it.
I feel you.
I could definitely, like, to me, it was just so out there that, like, I'll appreciate that if you know what, if I have some time to think about it and I can start putting 2 and 2 together, I like that. But when this is like a complete enigma of a movie, that I'm not a huge fan of. There's just a whole bunch of random shit going on, and it's just, I don't fully understand. Now, I'm probably going to start diving into some
Probably many essays.
millions written on
It's
this.
explaining, what everything means.
So, but like the fact that I have to go to that to understand anything that happened, not like a huge fan of that. Like, I'm sure like there's a couple things like I can put, but like the entirety of the movie to me was just.
Do you like being spoon fed?
No, I don't like being spoon fed, but I like to be able to over time put together. Thank you. I like to be able to put together my own thoughts and then figure it out from there. But from there, it was a complete mystery to me, this movie. So that wasn't a huge fan.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
Tim, let's go over to you. What are your thoughts on 2001? It's
Well,
been a
you know, I like space movies.
since you didn't watch it with us.
I've only ever seen it on my humble TV screen at home.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it in the largest screen.
I think you missed out on a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I did.
Literally
I
50 year
did.
anniversary.
But
you got Blu-ray. You got the 1080p.
I do have a Blu-ray.
We got like
You got the shitty
disgusting-
1968
Yeah. I don't even know what to
thing
call
going
it.
off. Yeah, this
Still
movie's
IMAX.
great. Heavy 4.
Heavy 4.
I love this movie. Not quite a 5. Basically because, it is a little slow. But it's not slow, it's deliberate, I think is a better
It is,
term.
yeah,
It's very, very
deliberately
deliberate.
based.
Yeah.
But purely technical side, it's phenomenal. Insane. One of the best looking movies.
Yeah.
Some things still baffle my mind of how they managed to pull it off.
I still don't know how they did it. Scott, don't ruin anything.
Yeah, just a great makeup. I love Hal 9000. Like, iconic villain.
all the sequences with Hal.
He's like on. He tops like not tops, but he's always on like top movie villains of all time because he's just
How
like
could he not be?
just this red faceless thing, but it's just so intimidating. I'm like,
It's a
Right?
laser.
I have the steel case 2001.
Oh,
It's all
It's
black.
him?
It has 2001 in bold, and then just the red eye.
About it. Yeah.
Eye.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just great, man.
It's just great.
Great.
It's just great, man.
Some would say
I
the
saw it.
goat of sci-fi.
It's probably the greatest sci-fi movie. It's not my favorite,
Right.
but it's probably the
That's how I feel.
greatest sci-fi movie. It's definitely the most influential.
Mm-hmm.
Like Interstellar alone has borrowed so much from this movie. Insane.
100%.
Obviously, that's why Nolan has an affinity for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much I love about it. I just like how like it doesn't really follow like the typical narrative structure. Like you got like a 20-minute sequence in ancient Africa with like apes like fighting over territory. Jumps to like this weird like hotel space station thing where like this guy that's not in the rest of the movie is like meeting up with some people, and then quick moon sequence, and then boom, you're into like the actual like the plot synopsis that I've said doesn't start until like maybe 40-45 minutes into the movie, right?
Yeah.
There's that whole like initial lead up. You're just kind of like, I don't really follow these stories, but it's just great. The monolith is just like one of the most like imposing and like visually cool things I've seen ever.
And the theme, like the score that goes with it, it's
It's
just
like this chanting, like
terrifying.
Insane.
like and I will say in the
The
theater,
score's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched
the
it at
sound
home.
was outrageous on this.
I watched it at home, and I watched it with headphones, and you know, like it wasn't like I didn't listen to it like super loud, so I didn't really notice it that much.
Not
but-
original. The song. It was from a long time ago.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
But the score in the theater in the Cinesphere was just like booming, like so loud, like it literally like practically blew my eardrums. Like there's a couple of scenes where it honestly sounded like a fire alarm going off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was literally like, "Whoa, this is like
Oh,
extreme."
is that when like, they get when they're on the moon and it goes like ringing in their ears?
And they're taking pictures of it. Yeah. Ring, ring, ring.
That'd be crazy.
Even the opening when the apes are like just screaming for 20 minutes straight, it was like a little much.
Dum, 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 dum.
Just a quick little fact there. Originally, Alex North. You guys familiar with Alex North? He worked with Kubrick on Spartacus and Doctor Strangelove. He had composed this different song for the opening, like for like all the sequences they used that song in. Strauss is, I can't remember what the name of the song is, but he had composed this very different song for the movie, and he had worked with Kubrick on the song, and it was dropped, and Alex North had not been told, and he went with this song. When he found out from the first viewing of it when he went to see it.
That's fucked.
Right.
Adrian Brody style.
He was
Yeah,
devastated. Yeah.
That's fucked.
I think you made the right choice. Sorry,
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, as far as my opinion of the movie, I'll agree with pretty much what you guys say. I think for me it's like a 4 out of 5. Extremely iconic, and I love the HAL 9000 stuff, and I just love all the practical effects. I think that was a stunning achievement. That being said, the actual like plot feels like I see what he's doing. Like I get it. You know, it's there's 3 parts to it.
Yeah, okay, I was just
You
putting
know, the monolith, you know, is sort of the punctuation on each one of those sequences. And I can see the sort of arc that he's taking, but at the same time,
What the fuck?
it just took so long to get there. I don't think it needed to be that long. Like from today's, you know, standpoint, you would never do something like that.
Well,
Like
even
just-
back then, you wouldn't have done something like that. Movies like that, like
pacing was a little different back in the day. But you know, for example, just sequences where, you know, these going into a little shuttle and then, you know, exiting the ship and then going over and grabbing something and then going back took like 20 minutes in the movie or something. But like, you know, nowadays they would cut like 3 shots together and it would be, you know, 20 seconds.
yeah.
Some of it was a little bit too much. You know, especially for like during that sequence and a couple sequences similar, all you can hear is just the breathing.
Yeah.
And compound that with the fact that we saw it at like midnight.
10:15 to 1 o'clock in the morning.
It was extremely sleep inducing. I had a hard time at a couple of points, I'm not gonna lie.
The last
of droopy
hour. If they didn't have the intermission, I would have fallen asleep. That being said, in the last 20 minutes I almost fell asleep.
It was a beautifully placed intermission.
Yeah, just enough to wake you up.
I want it more.
Lights turn on.
I want them to do that in more movies.
Yeah.
Especially bad ones.
Yeah, because it gives you an excuse to get up and leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
You just go and get snacks and then leave.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, overall I do like it. I just think, you know, below the pacing. Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. But besides that, I just wish there was a little bit more to the story. I don't know. Is that too much to ask? Like, it's very simple. I don't know.
Is it though?
To me.
The plot.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Well, it's not. It's simple in the most ambiguous way possible.
I don't mean the ideas are small.
Okay.
I mean like the literal plotting of what happens.
Oh, okay,
is extremely small. Like,
I see what you mean.
Nothing happens.
Not the plot, but the plotting of the. Okay, I see what you mean.
Like the narrative.
Can we just
say
this whole thing spoiler section?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. This movie came out in 1968.
50-year-old
so
movie.
chill.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go
they were
check
saying
it out.
it's like AI goes bad, essentially, right?
But even the middle part, it's like
movie.
the guy. What's his name? Like Hayward or something, or I forget.
Dr. Floyd Haywood.
His character, who's like, I don't even know what he's just investigating. They find this monolith, but like that's it. Like I don't know. It's just so
he's there to assess.
It's so simple. Like I feel like
right.
if it was like a show or something, they would have covered that. That would have been like the prologue to like a whole show or something.
Yeah.
Would be like this entire movie.
But it happens 90 minutes into the film.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so dragged out. But you know, that being said, this is the precursor. This is the OG sci-fi film. So there's nothing to base it on. Like he was breaking new ground. So you know, on one hand, I'm like, there could be more. But on the other hand, it's like, well,
you have to give
it's never been done before. Yeah. So like, I can't.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, that's just me being selfish.
5 decades old.
Yeah.
It's
Insane,
like, literally in 7 years before Star Wars, like insane.
I have a question. Are there different cuts to this film? Has it always been the same?
That's a good
I've
question.
only ever
I don't think there's more cuts.
Okay, because I can see this being a film where they would have...
Kubrick's usually like...
Kubrick's extremely
As
tight.
is.
There's no like...
thing,
Yeah, okay.
Deleted scenes, no.
He had all like the sets and stuff destroyed after the movie was done.
Really?
Yeah. Because he didn't want sequels, and then he came out with 2010, the year we made contact.
Really?
With Mr. John Lithgow.
I've heard not that bad.
It's okay.
I've heard. Is it?
You've seen it?
I have it, yeah.
You have it on blue.
I have it on DVD.
Never seen it.
One of those weird DVDs where like, it has like spine that like, snaps open.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a cardboard.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
One of those ones, yeah. It's fine. It's like,
Okay.
it's not like nearly as groundbreaking. Effects aren't as good.
But it's supposed to be a sequel.
But there's a lot more of a story to it, like way more of a plot.
Can I borrow it?
You have to like go and recover HAL 9000 for like some database things. You have to go and find the ship and
How
stuff.
does no one talk about this?
It's interesting.
That's pretty.
Can I borrow
nuts.
this?
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, tell me more.
What-
I want to know.
What year?
It was 85, I think.
What the?
Yeah.
20 years later, almost. That's mind blowing. Wow.
Well,
Balaban's in it. I think Balaban, that guy that's always in the.
Bob
Balaban?
Yeah, I
Bob
think
Balaban?
he's in it. I'm pretty
That
sure.
little wormy guy?
And Dreyfus.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, if you saw him, you'd know.
Richard Dreyfus.
Dreyfus is in it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah.
Adam, I want to know your thoughts about 2001. A Space
How much time do we
Odyssey.
have?
Well, some culmination of everything that's been said. First time I saw it, I felt the same as you.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely
Confused.
just was like,
Unsettled.
What's the point?
It grows more on you as you watch.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like,
It's like a slice of life.
Oh.
It's very slice of life.
slice of space life.
Oh.
Not even close.
Objectively amazing on a technical level, obviously.
Yeah.
Just the entire time, have to ask yourself, how was this made in the 60s? This doesn't make sense.
Does not compute.
Does not compute that this could look so good
Computer error.
and sound so good. Which, like, some of the sequences also seeing it in IMAX was mind blowing. Goes without saying. Some of the sequences like that red flashing thing at the end. I forget, but it was font. Where it's a computer something
failure.
Yeah,
computer malfunction
with the sound effects and like when the people in the pods are just dying off. Like all that in IMAX was just like
crazy. It was nuts.
Awe-inducing, and obviously like the black hole, right?
Yeah.
All the monolith scenes, especially in IMAX.
Yeah,
like you said, the opening with the planets aligning and everything was awesome. The plot and the story have grown on me over the years. There's a lot to like dissect there, but I will say, for me, it's pretty undeniable that you have to acknowledge that it's not like the easiest watch. It's kind of a tough sit, right?
I could feel the secondhand cringe in the theater, to be honest.
Yeah, especially now.
Like I felt the cringe on behalf of other people that may not have seen it before and didn't know what to expect. That are used to, movies in
like
this decade, which are a little bit more palatable.
There was an explosion which did keep me up, I won't lie to you. I was like, I need an explosion to keep me going. I need something. And then that door closes. It says, bolts are explosive. Closed on the doors. I'm like,
yes!
This is it.
I see my word.
Yes!
I definitely love it. Like, I appreciate it. I've always said about it, it's a movie I respect more than I necessarily, like, enjoy watching.
Yeah.
Certainly not something to just throw on.
That's a good way to put it.
Be like, shit, the guys are coming over, like, let's make some popcorn and throw on 2001.
No.
It's going to be a blast with, like, the 20-minute, like,
yeah. Just sitting there with your popcorn, just...
right?
Yeah.
Which is, its greatest strength is its greatest flaw as well for me, because that shit's amazing. I'm like in awe, like, oh my god, how did they do this? But at the same time, it's like watching. I don't know,
it's like watching paint dry.
It is. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's not like
it's not exciting.
No.
Yeah, I
it's
feel
impressive, but not exciting.
Yeah.
If there was more to it, like more with Hal, like if there was more to that, like that storyline, I feel like that would change for me. Like if I want they went on more about the mission, or if they went on like if there's a longer sequence in the middle, then I feel like it would be a little different for me. I feel like would have enjoyed it a little more.
What if? Let me paint this for you. This may be blasphemy, but what if it started with them like introducing Hal, like where it jumps right to Dave. And what's the other guy's name? Dave something. And whatever. The two scientists on the ship with Hal. What if it started there? And it was like an hour and a half. And you just cut out.
I think if it started with the sequence, the like floating pen sequence.
Yeah.
Like that.
Even there.
Starting from 1/3 into the movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily need a 1/3 of the movie prelude with the monkeys.
Yeah. Well, I did enjoy it.
I get it.
Monolith has come in.
And I get it.
Helps along evolution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm painting the picture for him.
Yeah.
I love the monkeys.
The thing is, that was very well done, but did it need to be?
Didn't need to be
so
that long.
That's
yeah, you could still have all that.
It could be 10 minutes.
Not indulge in itself so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just touching on the monkey sequence, when he like throws the bone in the air, iconic.
Yeah.
And then it match cuts with the shuttle.
Yeah.
At the end.
Credited as one of like the greatest smash cuts.
Amazing.
It's just like bone floating. Cut! In space.
Like, could you imagine in the 60s watching that? Because, like, now I feel like we're kind of like, obviously we know that cut just from,
you're right.
Pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. But, like, imagine the 60s, you're seeing it for the first time, or did you know that cut?
No.
So was your mind blown? Were you like, what the fuck?
It was like having seen like probably one of the first times this cut's been used, I was blown away by it.
Yeah, like
it's not the first time a match cut's been used, but it's just such an effective.
It was a very well used.
To jump from apes to literally the future was like this whole movie. The ambition by Kubrick is insane. Like to have the balls to make this movie, like,
and that's why
in the
year after this. He faked the moon landing.
Right. NASA was
That's why
so
they hired him.
impressed. Yeah.
So good. So
They
good.
got him to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, he did a great
Who
job
better?
on that too.
Yeah.
Can we
Perfect.
talk about the moon landing?
Yeah, okay.
If you look in the
let's
back,
get into it.
you actually can see the monolith.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's like a heavy 4, probably.
Yeah.
I struggle giving it a perfect 5 because there is something to be said for like entertainment, and just like it could have used like an
A
ounce
car
of-
chase, something.
I mean,
I
Phil
didn't say
gave it a
that.
5.
I mean, many have. Nolan gives it a 6 out of 5. I'm sure. Like, I'm sure it's like every director knows they wouldn't be a director without this movie. Like, it is that.
It did pave the way for many directors. Yeah.
Nolan says like that cut is the most confident cut in cinema history. He's like, I envy his confidence. I'll never have like the stones to do something like that.
After watching this, and then remembering, because I last seen Interstellar a while back, and that was back when I did last scenes. I did watch Interstellar, and I think last night you said that it was like his homage to his inspiration for Interstellar, and so watching that back, like I can see that, like there's huge parallels
Massively.
between the two of them.
Yeah,
Especially like the last sequence, like where with McConaughey's like going nuts, like, and then the last scene with all the colors, like to me that was
Colors.
hugely like.
Are you gonna deep dive?
Can we touch on the end real quick?
Describe the ending to me. There was a lot of it.
Specifically, the sequence when he wakes up in the room. Let's say.
Oh yes,
with
Tommy Wiseau?
Yep.
Yes.
Wakes up on set of the room.
Oh my god!
Oh, sorry. It was a room in the shed.
Oh,
The
sorry,
room.
Brie Larson.
Yeah, with Brie Larson.
there we
Yeah.
go.
Right.
No. So he wakes up in this room with this Michael Jackson floor of lights. Didn't light up. I was hoping it
Expected
would
it
light
to.
up, but it was just white light.
Yeah.
And he's like really old at the same time. But then it,
He ages, sees himself.
Well, he was old, and then he was very old, and then he was dead.
he was very young.
Yeah,
And then what was he?
terrifying.
He evolved again. Did the
Yes.
monolith?
Yeah, the monolith
Evolved
has
him?
involved humans into like this new being.
Is that what we're
It's a
going with?
general
I think
consensus,
that's
I think.
what's to be taken.
I
right?
think that's the most accepted explanation.
Every time the monolith shows up, there's a leap.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to get stoned and do some deep diving
This is
because
literally the ultimate movie.
this
for
is
that,
the best
yeah.
time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll let you guys
Right
know. Well, not well.
Live.
Can we do that on
Vape
screen?
Nash.
Can we do that on screen, Scott?
Please don't.
No.
Okay.
It's gross and weird.
Well, next time.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most simplest explanation I would say of the ending.
Pretty
in my
great old
opinion.
man makeup for the 60s.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I've seen much worse, much more recently. So that alone is pretty fucking impressive. Now, do we subscribe to this unearthed Kubrick clip of him talking about the ending?
Yeah, it's come up recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he say exactly? Can you recall?
Didn't he pretty much agree with that?
Agreed at that, but he basically, in like the literal sense of like what he's doing in this room, boiled it down to, I'm paraphrasing, but basically these other beings have put him in what their idea of a human environment would be, much like their version of a zoo, and are observing his final years, and he's just lives his life out in this like zoo for them to observe, and then dies, and then they like monolith him, or the monolith is the alien that puts him in this zoo or whatever, what have you.
Interesting.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty
like-
nuts. I love it.
Kubrick said this in the 80s, I think. He was like promoting Full Metal Jacket, and then had it cut from the interview because he was very, very notoriously, obviously close to the vest. Never wanted to talk about the movie. I think he actually said it like off the record. So just now, literally like 2017, 2018, they unearthed this clip.
Is this like a video clip of him doing this?
I don't know if it's video, but it's audio. It's 100% him.
Crazy.
Crazy.
I also just love, that whole sequence with like the colors, but just
Fuck.
before that, when the guy Keir Dullea is like there's the sequence where he's driving the shuttle to like rescue his buddy in space, and just like
also a very long sequence,
very long sequence, but the reflection of like the colors on his like mask, like that's such an iconic shot. I don't know, I just love that, and it's replicated so much where you see like neon lights reflected in like background or on glass, or you're shooting through glass or whatever. Yeah, it's just such a common thing now, but I feel like that was just such an iconic use of that. Yeah. Was there anything else you guys want to mention about 2001?
I love him floating through that room where he's shutting Hal down.
That was a great sequence. Very well done.
Really good. Beautiful. Like that to me is the best looking sequence when he's like.
But just the way Hal is like pleading with him.
He's like, so creepy.
It's so good. It's
so good.
I don't think that's such a good idea.
Do you want to hear it? Dude.
He's like singing.
Like, literally like, yes, I'll sing it.
I feel like I would be remiss as well without mentioning the sequence when the two astronauts or the scientists meet in the shuttle and they think they're being like secretive and he's like reading their lips. Like how amazing is that?
Like as soon as I saw them get into that thing, it's like they're looking right at him. I'm like, guys, he can obviously see you. Like there's no way he's not telling what's going on.
But it's such a great sequence in the way Kubrick shot it because you instantly know. You're like, oh, he's reading their lips.
Yeah.
It's just, but I don't know. I feel like it would have been lost on other directors of how to shoot that. But it was just done so effectively. You instantly know
here, but Hal's in the middle, all in one frame.
And they kind of like that blackout kind of.
And there was a single shot where it was like a shot of close up of Hal, and then a close up of like their mouths, and then like goes back across, and then back to Hal, and you're like, that fucker knows. But yeah,
did you rate it? I want your rating.
I did not rate it.
Yeah, what would you rate it, Ty?
This is a very hard film to rate, just because again, like I have a massive amount of respect for the way this was done. But like you said, also there has to be an entertainment factor to your rating as well.
Could have used a joke or two. Some hint of levity would have been nice.
If I had to give
a couple of jokes. The audience laughed twice.
They laughed at his dead friend, like, being hurled through space.
Floating, like, freaking out.
There was a couple moments where the audience laughed, and it wasn't a big laugh, but I feel like they chuckled. It was like post-scene, they chuckled.
Also, there was not a single joke in this movie, but there was a couple of times where they laughed. I would have to... I'm teeter-tottering between two ratings, but I'm tater-tottering between two ratings. I'm going to have to give it a heavy 3. I was teeter-tottering on the light 4, but I'm going to have to go with a heavy 3.
That's probably what I would have given it on the first watch. I feel like it grows the more you see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I do own this film on Blu-ray. I have yet to watch it.
We just saw it.
We did just see it last night.
Rewatch. Last seen it next week.
I tried to last seen it this week, and you guys wouldn't fucking let me.
You have a hard time watching a single movie a week, so
I do.
So I gave it a 4. Tim gave it a heavy 4. You're going heavy 3, heavy 4. All right.
Absolutely.
I think that'll do it for our review of 2001: A Space Odyssey as well. That'll do it for our episode 152. Tim, where can people find us?
People can find us on Twitter at UpReal8. You can find me personally on Letterboxd at UpRealTim and on Instagram at TheCraftPundit.
We gave you a pretty sweet shout out to The Craft Pundit last week.
Oh, did you think so?
Yeah. I couldn't remember all the shit you say, but I do remember The Craft Pundit. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at UpReal8 Podcast. You can also find me on Letterboxd at UpRealTy. I don't say it like that.
You should.
You can find me on Twitter at Franny25 and Instagram and Letterboxd at UpRealAdam.
Find myself, Scott, on Letterboxd at UpRealScott. And yeah, guys, if you enjoy this video, leave a like on it, leave a comment below in the comment section, and of course, hit that subscribe button. And as always, keep it real.